Hi dear students, my name is Ubedullah Beg and I am your new English teacher. Working at MPUP school in Chagallu located in Nakarikalu Mandal of Panadu district, I am happy to be here to teach you the second part of the lesson quality. I have been fortunate to have 12 years of teaching experience guiding and inspiring students just like you. I hope you are all ready for an exciting session to learn the second part of the lesson. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So let's embark on this educational adventure together and unlock the potential within each of you. Welcome to our lesson and get ready to explore the exciting concepts. Today we are going to continue learning about shoemaker in our lesson quality. As it is part 2 of the lesson, in this session we will explore the concept of quality and why it matters. So let's dive in and explore the world of quality together. Before going into the lesson, let us see the overview of the lesson. In part 1, we completed Before You Read, reading part 1, working with the text related to those paragraphs. In this session, we have 3 subtopics to cover. They are Quality Lesson second part reading comprehension, working with text related to this, and working with the language. Before we begin our lesson, let's take a look at what we hope to achieve. That is our learning objectives for this lesson. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the central theme of the lesson, which is about the definition of an artist and the story of a German shoemaker named Mr. Gessler, and identify the setting of the story, which is London. Second one is recognize that the lesson highlights the importance of pride, respect, and devotion in one's work. Third one is discuss the impact of big firms and advertisements on small businesses using Mr. Gessler's story as an example. Fourth one is tell the author's opinion about Mr. Gessler as a bootmaker and why did the author visit the shop so infrequently. Fifth one is tell the story in their own words and summarize it. Now, be ready to enter into the second part of the lesson. Before that, let us recall what we have learned in the part 1 of the story. Mr. Gessler is a skilled bootmaker known for his customized boots. His shop, shared with his brother, has a unique and peaceful atmosphere. When visitors enter, it feels like stepping into a calm church. The narrator sits on a wooden chair, listening to the sound of Mr. Gessler's slippers on the narrow wooden stairs. Mr. Gessler appears before the narrator wearing a leather apron with sleeves turned back. The narrator requests a pair of Russian leather boots and Mr. Gessler silently leaves the shop only to return with a beautiful piece of gold brown leather. The narrator admires it and Mr. Gessler asks when the boots are needed, suggesting a time frame like tomorrow's fortnight. On another occasion, the narrator approaches Mr. Gessler to address a problem with a previous pair of boots that creaked. Mr. Gessler initially stays silent, expecting the narrator to take back their statement. Eventually, he admits the boots shouldn't have creaked, but when the narrator confirms they did, Mr. Gessler explains it as the boots needing time to settle. The narrator feels regretful for bringing up the issue, noticing Mr. Gessler's lowered gaze as if trying to recall the specific boots. This is part 1 of the lesson. And now it's time to take the next step as we dive into part 2 of the lesson. Mr. Gessler, the shoemaker, expresses frustration that big companies obtain business through advertisement rather than hard work. He feels that they are taking away customers who appreciate the quality of his handmade boots. Mr. Gessler predicts that he will soon have no work as the demand for his boots keeps decreasing every year. The narrator observes Mr. Gessler's worn face, indicating a life filled with bitter struggles. Thus, during the narrator's visit to Mr. Gessler's shop, they had a conversation about the challenges they faced. Mr. Gessler expressed his frustration, saying that people were more inclined to buy boots based on advertisements rather than appreciating the craftsmanship and quality of their work. He believed that this trend was taking away their business, leading to a gradual decline in work opportunities. The narrator noticed the lines on Mr. Jessler's face and the bitterness in his voice, realizing the hardships and struggles he had endured. The narrator tries to explain the circumstances of the boots they bought elsewhere, which seem to have brought bad luck. Despite the explanation, Mr. Jessler's face and voice make a deep impression on the narrator. In response, the narrator orders several pairs of the boots from Mr. Jessler, and his craftsmanship is highly valued. These new boots last longer than ever before. Due to the circumstances, the narrator is unable to visit Mr. Jessler for almost 2 years. When the narrator finally returns to the shop, they encounter what appears to be Mr. Jessler's elder brother. Thus, feeling moved by Mr. Jessler's plight, the narrator ordered several pairs of boots. These boots lasted longer than ever, but the narrator couldn't visit Mr. Jessler for almost 2 years. When they finally returned to the shop, they found Mr. Jessler's elder brother, who was now handling the leather. Mr. Jessler himself appeared aged and weak. The narrator greets him and asks about Mr. Jessler's well-being. The man confirms that he is doing well but reveals that his elder brother has passed away. The narrator is shocked and expresses sympathy. Mr. Jessler's brother was also a skilled shoemaker who made good boots. The narrator notices how aged and weary Mr. Jessler looks. This is the first time the narrator has heard Mr. Jessler mention his brother. Mr. Jessler touches the thinning hair on his head, suggesting that the same cause led to his brother's death. Despite the loss, Mr. Jessler offers to sell boots and shows the narrator a beautiful piece of leather. The narrator is left with a mixture of emotions, sympathizing with Mr. Jessler's hardships while appreciating his dedication to his craft. Thus, the narrator expressed concern and learned that Mr. Jessler's brother had passed away. Mr. Jessler mentioned his brother's craftsmanship and indicated his own thinning hair as a symbol of the cause of his brother's death. Despite these difficulties, Mr. Jessler offered his services and held up a beautiful piece of leather, ready to create boots for the narrator. Now, let us check ourselves how well we are listening to the story with the help of these questions. First question is, what did Mr. Jessler believe was taking away their business? Option A, lack of advertisement. Option B, decline in craftsmanship. Option C, competition from other bootmakers. And final one, option D is poor quality of leather. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option A, lack of advertisement. Now, second question. Who was handling the leather in Mr. Jessler's shop during the narrator's second visit? Option A, Mr. Jessler's elder brother. Option B, a new employee. Option C, the narrator. Option D, the narrator's friend. Now answer this question quickly. Your time begins now. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option A, Mr. Jessler's elder brother. You are listening well. Now let us continue the reading of the lesson. The narrator ordered several pairs of boots from Mr. Jessler. It took a long time for the boots to arrive, but they were better than ever and incredibly durable. The narrator went abroad for over a year and returned to London. The first shop the narrator visited was Mr. Jessler's. Mr. Jessler had aged, now being 75 years old and looking worn. At first, Mr. Jessler didn't recognize the narrator. The narrator requested boots of every kind from Mr. Jessler. The narrator had given up hope of receiving the boots when they unexpectedly arrived one evening. The narrator tried on the boots one by one and found them to be the best Mr. Jessler had ever made. Excited, the narrator wrote a check and posted it immediately. A week later, when the narrator passed by Mr. Jessler's shop, they noticed that his name was gone. Concerned, the narrator entered the shop and found a young man in his place. The young man informed the narrator that they had taken over the shop, but Mr. Jessler had passed away. The narrator expressed surprise, mentioning that they had received the boots from him recently. The story leaves the fate of Mr. Jessler and the mystery surrounding his sudden absence unresolved. Now, let us check ourselves how well we are listening to the story with the help of these questions. Question number 1. How did the narrator feel about the boots they received from Mr. Jessler? Option A. They were poorly made. Option B. They were average in quality. Option C. They were exceptionally durable and better than ever before. Option D. They were uncomfortable to wear. Now answer this question as early as possible. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option C. They were exceptionally durable and better than ever before. Now, second question. How did Mr. Jessler initially respond to the narrator's visit to his shop? Option A. He recognized the narrator immediately. Option B. He seemed confused and didn't recognize the narrator at first. Option C. He was excited to see the narrator. Option D. He was indifferent and uninterested. Your time starts now. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option B. He seemed confused and didn't recognize the narrator at first. Now let us continue the reading of the story. Mr. Jessler's shop was taken over by a new owner after his death. The new owner reveals that Mr. Jessler starved himself and suffered from slow starvation. The doctor attributed Mr. Jessler's condition to his work habits and dedication to making the boots himself. Mr. Jessler insisted on keeping the shop and being the sole person to touch the boots. His slow work process caused him to lose customers who didn't want to wait. Despite his exceptional bootmaking skills, he faced tough competition and never advertised his work. Mr. Jessler insisted on using the best leather and doing everything himself. The new owner acknowledges that Mr. Jessler's boots were of superior quality. The new owner remarks that Mr. Jessler's approach and ideas contributed to his struggles. While the term starvation may be exaggerated, the new owner confirms that Mr. Jessler neglected his own well-being. Mr. Jessler would sit over his boots day and night, foregoing meals and never having any money. He prioritized paying rent and purchasing leather, neglecting his own comfort and basic needs. The new owner admires Mr. Jessler's dedication and considers him a character with unique approach. Despite his hardships, Mr. Jessler's commitment to his craft allowed him to live longer than expected. The narrator acknowledges Mr. Jessler's legacy, recognizing that he indeed made good boots. Thus, Mr. Jessler, the skilled and dedicated bootmaker, starved himself and sacrificed his own well-being in his pursuit of creating excellent boots. He insisted on doing all the work himself, causing delays and losing customers. Although he faced strong competition and didn't advertise, he remained committed to using the best materials and producing high-quality boots. Mr. Jessler's single-minded focus on his craft led to financial struggles, but his skill and dedication were recognized by those who knew him. Despite his tragic circumstances, he left behind a legacy of making exceptional boots. Before we proceed further, let's take a moment to reflect on the story we have listened to just now. Now, it's time to answer these two simple questions. First question is, what were some of the challenges faced by Mr. Jessler in his bootmaking business? Option A, lack of skill and dedication. Option B, strong competition and no advertising. Option C, use of poor quality materials. Option D, quick production and customer satisfaction. Your time starts now. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option B, strong competition and no advertising. Now, second question. What can be inferred about Mr. Jessler's approach to his work? Option A, he prioritized his own comfort and well being. Option B, he believed in outsourcing some of the tasks. Option C, he focused on quantity rather than quality. Option D, he was committed to using the best materials and producing high quality boots. Your time starts now. Yes, you are right. The correct option is option D. He was committed to using the best materials and producing high quality boots. Let us have a look at the new words we have gone through so far in this lesson. Let's dive into the glossary section now. Craftsmanship, meaning is the skill and quality of workmanship in a particular craft or trade, in this case bootmaking. Appreciating, recognizing the value, worth, or quality of something. Decline, a gradual decrease, in this context referring to the decrease in work opportunities. Endured, to have experienced and survived through difficult or challenging circumstances. Plight, a difficult or challenging situation, often implying hardship or adversity. Pinched, having a thin appearance, often due to lack of proper nourishment or hardship. Check, a written order directing a bank to pay a specific amount of money to a person or organization. Flowery, used here to indicate that the term starvation might be exaggerated. Fit, the suitability or appropriateness of something, in this context referring to how well the boots matched the narrator's feet. Disturbed, feeling unsettled, bothered, or agitated. So far, we covered 3 questions in part 1, and now the remaining 2 questions of working with the text are here. Question number 4. What was Mr. Jessler's complaint against big firms? The answer is Mr. Jessler complained that the big firms were making money by attracting customers through advertisements. They were not earning because of the quality of their work, but because of the marketing. And because of them, small shops had to suffer the loss of customers. Now, question number 5. Why did the author order so many pairs of boots? Did he really need them? The answer is no, the author did not really need so many pairs of boots. He ordered so many of them because he wanted to help the bootmaker financially. Now, let's continue the working with the language section. Let us study the following phrases and their meanings. Use them appropriately to complete the sentences that follow. Look after, meaning is take care of. Look down on, meaning is disapprove or regard as inferior. Look in on someone, meaning make a short visit. Look into, investigate. Look out, meaning is be careful. Look up, meaning is improve. Look up to, meaning is admire. Now, let us fill in the blanks for these questions. First one is, after a very long spell of heat, the weather is blank at last. What should be there in that blank space? Yes, the answer is looking up. What is the meaning of look up? Improve. Now the second one. We have no right to blank people who do small jobs. What is the correct answer? Yes, look down on. What is the meaning of look down on? Disapprove or regard as inferior. Now the third question. Nitin has always blank his uncle Who is a self-made man? What phrase should be there in that blank space? Yes, it is. Looked up to is the correct answer. What is the meaning of looked up to? The meaning is admire. The fourth one, the police are blank the matter thoroughly. The correct answer is looking into. What is the meaning of looking into? It is investigate. Now the fifth question. If you want to go out, I will blank the children for you. What should be there in the blank space? Yes, it is. The correct answer is look after. What is the meaning of the phrase look after? It is to take care of. Now the sixth question. I promise to blank on your brother when I visit Lucknow next. What is the correct answer here? Yes, it is. Look in is the correct answer. What is the meaning of look in? To make a short visit. Now the final question. Blank when you are crossing the main road. What phrase should be there in the blank space? Yes, it is. It is look out. What is the meaning of look out here? Look out means be careful. Now, question number 2. Read the following sets of words loudly and clearly. Caught, coat, cost, coast, tossed, toast, got, goat, rot, wrote, blot, bloat, not, note. Now read them again. Caught, coat, cost, coast, tossed, toast, got, goat, rot, wrote, blot, bloat, not, note. Now question number 3. Each of the following words contains the sound sh, sh in the beginning or in the middle or at the end. First, speak out all the words clearly. Then arrange the words in 3 groups. Sheep, trash, marsh, fashion, anxious, shriek, shore, fish, portion, ashes, shore, nation, shoe, pushing, polish, mustache. The words with sh sound in the beginning are sheep, shriek, shore, shore, shoe. The words with sh sound in the middle are fashion, anxious, ashes, nation, pushing, and the words with sh sound at the end are trash, marsh, fish, polish, mustache. Now, question number 4. In each of the following words, CH represents the same consonant sound as in chair. The words on the left have this sound initially, those on the right have it finally. Speak each word clearly. Choose, bench, child, march, cheese, peach, chair, rich, charming, research. Once again, choose, bench, child, march, cheese, peach, chair, rich, charming, research. Now, underline the letters representing this sound in each of the following words. First word is future. In this word, the letter T is producing the sound ch. So, underline the letter T. The second word is archery. In this word, the letters CH are producing the sound ch. So underline the letters CH. The third word is picture. In this word, the letter T is producing the sound ch. So underline the letter T. The fourth word is reaching. In this word, the letters CH are producing the sound ch. So underline the letters CH. The fifth word is nature. In this word, the letter T is producing the sound ch. So underline the letter T here. The sixth word is matches. In this word, the letters T, C, H are producing the sounds ch. So underline the letters T, C, H. The seventh word is riches. In this word, the letters C, H are producing the sound ch. So underline the letters C, H. The eighth word is badge. In this word, the letters T, C, H are producing the sound ch. So underline the letters T, C, H. The ninth word is church. In this word, the letters CH in the beginning and CH at the end are producing the sounds ch. So underline the letters CH and CH. So far, we have completed all the questions in the working with language section. Now, it's time to check ourselves how well we have listened to the story by answering the questions in the assessment section. Question number 1 is, what did Mr. Jessler believe was taking away their business? Answer is, Mr. Jessler believed that people buying boots based on advertisements rather than appreciating craftsmanship and quality was hurting their business. Second question is, how did the narrator respond to Mr. Jessler's plight? Answer is, the narrator ordered several pairs of boots to support Mr. Jessler. The third question is, why couldn't the narrator visit Mr. Jessler for almost 2 years? Answer is, the reason for the narrator's inability to visit Mr. Jessler is that he was not there in London. Question number 4. Who did the narrator find at the shop when they returned after 2 years? The answer is, the narrator found Mr. Jessler's elder brother at the shop, who was now handling the leather. Question number 5. How were the boots that the narrator ordered from Mr. Jessler? Answer is, the boots were better than ever before and exceptionally durable. Question number 6 is, what was the condition of Mr. Jessler when the narrator returned to London? The answer is, Mr. Jessler was much older, worn out, and initially didn't recognize the narrator. Question number 7. What happened to Mr. Jessler when the narrator visited his shop again? Answer is, Mr. Jessler had passed away and the shop was taken over by someone else. Question number 8. Why did the old man lose his customers? The answer is, he took a long time to fulfill orders and people didn't want to wait. Question number 9 is, how did the old man handle his bootmaking process and what was the old man's approach to advertising? The answer is, he insisted on doing everything himself and wouldn't let anyone else touch his boots. He never advertised his boots. Question number 10 is, what were the old man's priorities in his life and business? Answer is, his main focus was on making the best boots using the best leather, and he neglected his own well-being and financial stability. So far we have covered all the topics in this part. Now let's time to recall what we have learned in the entire story of Jessler, that is quality. The Lesson Quality by John Galsworthy tells the story of Gessler brothers, German immigrants who were skilled bootmakers in London. The author, a loyal customer, admired their high quality work and dedication. Gessler's shop had a simple signboard with their name, and they made customer designed boots that always fit perfectly. Despite their exceptional craftsmanship, they never advertised their products. The author considered Gessler the best bootmaker in London and marveled at his skill. Gessler's boots were long lasting, which meant the author didn't need to visit the shop frequently. The author once asked about the challenges of bootmaking, and Gessler replied with a smile, considering it an art. During another visit to Gessler's shop, wearing boots from a large firm, Gessler noticed they were not his creation. He pointed out an uncomfortable spot and explained how big firms harmed small businesses like his own. This encounter left the author feeling guilty, and he ordered a pair of boots from Gessler. 2 years later, when the author returned to the shop, he discovered that Gessler's elder brother had passed away. The author placed several orders and then went abroad. Upon his return, he was shocked to see Gessler looking aged and worn, as if he had aged significantly in a short time. Feeling sorry for him, the author ordered various boots for Gessler. However, when he visited the shop again to thank Gessler, he was informed that Gessler had died of starvation due to his relentless work and inability to compete with larger firms. The story ends on a somber note, highlighting the tragic fate of Gessler, the exceptional bootmaker, and the challenges faced by small businesses in the face of stiff competition. Here ends the part 2. Let us meet in the part 3 of the lesson. Bye bye.